time. I've been waiting for these parts to turn up from Namoki. So looking at doing a titanium Seiko SKX mod, so let's get into it. To start off, just wanted to have a look at the contents of the parcel when it arrives. So you get this Namoki sticker, you get a little thank you note about ordering from them, some of their social media details at the bottom, and then you also get this little warranty card. Just goes through a bit of information about the warranty, if you want to send it back, how long you've got. I think any defects is up to 12 months. You also get everything in these little tins, screw top tins, which are quite nice. I'll be using these for parts containers later on. So I've ordered quite a few different bits and bobs. So you can see, to start with, I've got a movement. So it comes with a new stem, and this is the NH35, so manual wind, quick set, function date, all that kind of stuff. I'll probably do a service video on that at some point. Let's move out to the side. What else have we got in here? This is a case back. Yep, this is a case back. So they do a titanium case back with a sandblast finish to match the case. And then the next tin, so this is just something I had floating around, which was a chapter ring, so that didn't actually come from them, although they do sell them. Ceramic bezel insert, looks like it comes with a adhesive as well, and they also do their own crystals. So they've gone for the domed with the blue anti-reflective coating. Don't know if you can see the slightly blue tinge of that. Appreciate it's reflecting there, but it's meant to be so you can still see through and see the dial. So we'll put that to one side. And then this just means the case must be in here. There we go. And put that to the side quickly. It's come with these seals. One looks like a crystal seal, case back seal, but I don't know why we've got two case back seals. And then the case itself. So I haven't ordered a strap. I don't know, I haven't decided what strap to go for yet, but this is the titanium case. It comes with a matching crown as well. You can see this is got several seals on there. I believe it's also got a seal on the inside of the crown, so that should be nice. But just general look, it's got that nice titanium lightness to it. So it's part brushed, part polished. The bezel rotates quite nicely. But other than that, yeah, it's just a titanium SKX case. It's got quite a nice finish of it. It does come with spring bars, which is nice thick ones as well, so it should be good. First thing we're going to do, I think, is get the chapter ring in. Then we shall have a look at getting the glass in, and then the bezel insert on. So now we've got the parts we need to put the crystal on. First things first is finding the little dimple here on the back of the chapter ring. That should line up with this in here. in the case. You know it's in as it just drops into place and it looks smart. There we go. You can see that that's dropped in. I've got this crystal here, probably a crystal gasket. So you can put a bit of silicone grease on there, that just helps so it doesn't tear the gasket up at all. Helps the crystal slide in a little bit easier. But this crystal keeps the chapter ring in place. So drop the crystal. You can just about get it in place by hand, just roughly in place, and then you want to look at maybe using a crystal press for this. So you can't quite see it from the side, but it's got a lever on the top we've got all these different press tools. Each one just slides in depending on how big the crystal is. They're normally curved so you can get the tension ring crystals in, or the acrylic ones. It just slightly changes the shape of the crystal, but obviously for metal it's a little different. And what we're going to do is make sure we've got the right shape for the bottom and go for a flat one. Don't know if you're going to be able to see this in shot, but so there we have the crystal pressed in along with the chapter ring. Couldn't quite do it just with my fingers, so I did need that crystal press, but the silicone grease certainly helped. Now we're going to move away from the case for a second and move on to the movement. So what we've got is a red special dial and hands on an old movement. So we're going to take the hands and the dial off this to use on the new movement. So normally use a casing pad to put this on, but what you'll need is a little plastic bag and a couple of hand levers. There's a couple of other types of tools for this as well, but whatever you're comfortable with. And they just pop off. Put the hands to the side. And these dials are pretty easy to get off. They're just a press fit. So all you've got to do is find where the dial feet are and turn that over. You'll see straight away there's a dial foot just here, so which means there should be one roughly opposite, which there is, just here. So now I've identified those, it's just a case of looking for a space to put a lever. Just gently lever the dial off. All you have to do is put a screwdriver in and twist, and it just lifts that off. And there we go. Now we have the dial off, we can put it onto the new movement. So there we've got the dial off. Now I've got the new movement and the movement holder. All we have to do is line up the two dial feet with the two dial holes, making sure the date window is in the right place. Of course, the crown's offset on this particular movement case. So there we go. Once they're located, just very gently push down. And there, we're in place. Next thing we want to do is just double checking the date works. That works okay. And the day works okay as well. Now we're just going to find a date change position, so we know where to put the hands back on. So just take the crown out all the way, start changing the time. Just wait till the date or day starts to move, and whenever we're in roughly the right spot. There we go. So obviously there's a couple of different trains of thought on this, whether you go when the date changes, when you go when the day changes, but I tend to go when the date changes, but it's all personal preference, I think. So just slowly go until you hear the click. There we go. And then take your hands and just line them back up. They do fit. It might be a slight tightness on them, but yeah, just what you can do. There's two ways of doing this. There's the kind of limited tools way, which is just using a pair of pliers to push it down, or you can have a hand press. It comes with these little plastic bits, and it just means you can do it freehand. You don't have to potentially damage anything, and you can get a bit more precision when you're putting them on. Just checking from the side to make sure they're not going to hit. Now we can do the minute hand. So just checking with the loop whether the hands are a bit too close or not. Just before we put the second hand on, and they look good. Put that back in the movement holder, and then you can go ahead, center second on. Some feels a little tight, so just be careful when you're pushing this down. There we go. And once you push the crown back in, off we go. What you can do, if you get a little bit of something on your hands, bit of oil, bit of anything that doesn't just blow off with an air pump, you can use a bit of this stuff called Rodico. It just gets the grease off, but looking at this is pretty clean. There's nothing on the dial. Yeah, we're all good to go. So then we need to think about putting the movement in the case. So I have to take the crown out for this. It's fairly simple to do. And you flip the movement over, you're looking for just here, there's a dimple. Just here, there's that little dimple just there. You can just see it. It's just a slightly different colour at the end of the tweezers. You just going to push that in, and it releases the crown. Just as easy as that. And this is where casing cushions come in handy. You can just chuck your your case crystal down. And this is, it does get a little tight, this one, so the pressure on the plastic case holder keeps it all in place, so you want to go down as central as you can. So looking at where the crown comes in here, and the crown comes into the movement. And what we can do if you really want is using the crown, see, the second you get the chance, it's just to pop the crown in as far as you can, just to keep it centered, and then it's just a case of gently pushing the movement into place. Remember, when you're pushing it in, don't press on the balance wheel or anything that you know, has a bit of tension against it. So eventually, sorry, tension, anything delicate. So at the balance wheel, try not to push on anything so it doesn't look sturdy. Okay, so that looks like it's in. It looks like it's lined up well with the crown, which it has. So what we've got to look at doing now is fitting the new crown. So we've got, move that to one side, we've got the crown that comes with the case and the stem that came with the movement. So it just threads on. Obviously it's too long to start with, but this is just to give us an idea. So there, that's it in place. We know that because we can pull it out to the handset position. So you can see we've got quite a length left to go. So what you want to do is measure the distance from the case to the crown that you need to cut off. Don't necessarily do it all in one go, because you want to do what's right for you, and don't forget that there's a spring in here, so it's slightly sprung loaded, and you've got to allow for the thread on the case as well, so that the crown can thread into the case. So let's go away and cut that stem and see if we can get it to the right size. So obviously you can see here, even with the sprung loaded crown, it's still a little way out, so you just want to measure between, because it's threaded, I'd measure from the end of the thread to the crown, the bottom of the crown. That way you know you've got a bit of movement to play with, and it'll still push in and screw down, but we've got a little bit to cut off here. So just going to push the dimple in on that, lift that up, and that comes straight out. We'll get the crown off the stem, and then, I mean, what you're going to need for this, ideally, is something like a pair of cutters like this, a file, and then a bit of Loctite, just to keep it on there. So I'm just going to cut an amount off the thread, then I'm going to go in and just dress that up slightly with the file, just so it screws back on nicely. I'm just taking off any burrs, anything that's likely to get caught up and snag on the thread. Let's see if that'll screw back on. And what you can do if you've got one, it's one of these pin vices. So you can put you can put it in a pin vise and just tighten that up. Something a little bit easier to hold on to. No, don't force that too much. Don't forget, you still got to get it off if you need to. And then what we can do, just test this. So that's very close now. So if I try and screw the crown in, see there's still just a small gap between the crown and the case. So that's how much we need to take off. So not much at all now. Always find measuring's the best thing, of course, but I try and think if I cut it just slightly longer than expected, it you just got a touch to play with. There we go. So we're just going to cut a little bit more off this, not a lot. And then we're going to tidy this up again. And just to give that final, just turn it as you're going around it. It just takes any burrs off the edge. There we go. I think this should be about right. And there we have it. So this crown's tightened all the way down to the case. One last thing to do. Just put that bit of Loctite on the crown. And then we're all good. That shouldn't be coming out anytime soon. So just take it off. Get the Loctite out. And you don't need a lot of Loctite, just enough. And that's the crown done. Now we're just going to put the case back on. So remember, this did come with a couple of gaskets, so I'm just going to just try this one out. It looks about the right size. Just going to rub a bit of this Rodico in the groove just to get any dirt or grease out, make it nice and clean. Same on the back. Just, you never know if there's a little bit of swarf or anything like that from machining. Bear in mind, these are new parts. We can go back to the silicone grease. So it's just a tub with a bit of silicone grease in it and some sponge. Just turn it a few times. All that does is it just gives it a light coating of silicone grease. It just helps it seat that a little bit nicer, but it also, when you're tightening the case back up, it helps stop the kind of sliding material. It helps it slide on. As you're just tightening it up, it stops it from tearing the seal. Okay, just another little check, make sure there's nothing horrible inside. We're all good. We can put the case back on. There's a couple of ways to tighten these up. So I've got a tightening tool, but you can have those rubber balls, they're okay. But of course if you've got a proper tool with the right the teeth, you can do it without potentially damaging anything. So then we have one thing left to do. So this is the first time we've seen it in the case, looking pretty good. There's one thing left to do, which is to put the bezel insert on. So if you've got an original case and you're just doing a new bezel insert, it's not too difficult to take out. I think no, that's from a 6139, but essentially the easiest thing to do is if you can pop the bezel off, you just get like the blade of a screwdriver underneath the bezel, and just similar to how you take the dial off, just twist a little bit as you go around. It just kind of pries it off. Then you want to clean up the surface. Again, use a bit of Redico here. You can use a microfiber cloth or anything you've got, but clean all the old adhesive off. Of course, like I say, this is a new one, so it doesn't matter too much. It's just making sure there's no grease. Just check that we've got good fitment. Typically with the chapter ring being Seiko, it doesn't fit, doesn't line up correctly 100%, but we might change that eventually. Okay, so we know that fits. Now interestingly, so normally you'd expect it to be flat on the inside, it's not, it's got a chamfer and just a small flat. So I think where this this adhesive comes in, so typically the little adhesive pad that it came with just didn't work for me, so as I've done with a few others before, just put a bit of general purpose adhesive, nothing too much. You can use a bit of crystal cement, that works. It's got a nice little fine applicator on it, but I've just put a little bit around the edge. It's just to keep it in place, stop it from moving out. You do get a bit of time with this, so once you drop it on, you can position it slightly. I think that's about perfect. Just give it a quick press down, and there we go. The complete build of a Namoki titanium SKX with a red special dial and a NH36A movement, ceramic bezel. It's not quite a nice case. It's not a lot of detail in the back. It'd be nice to have something in the back. It's a bit plain, but I guess you can go for a glass display case back if you like. But overall, I think this is quite a nice case. The customer service of the Namoki is pretty good. They get back to you pretty quick, at least here in the UK anyway. Their dispatch time was a little bit long, but the delivery time once it had been dispatched wasn't that far. It was like 3 days or 4 days, and it came out of Singapore, so I don't know if that's where they manufacture them, but I'm assuming they do. But of course, from here you can go ahead and start playing around with different straps. You can go NATOs, metal. They don't do a titanium metal strap. I know there's a few people been asking for it, but they don't do that just yet. This is the Mk2 version of the case, so maybe they're working on a strap for that. I know that the titanium case back was new. Of course, you can go leather, do whatever you want, so there's quite a lot of options there. It might be that you found a titanium case from another watch that you want to put a titanium strap from another watch that you want to put on it, of course. But I think, I think it should be a nice watch. I think this might be a keeper. But yeah, might do a service video of the NH36 at some point in the future. I know I've done the 7S26 before, so if you want to go and see the service of that, it's basically not far off the same movement. Go check that out, as well as a couple of other Seiko videos among some other bits and bobs as well. So if you like the video, please hit the like button and subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you in the next one.